All right. Well, good morning, good evening, what it do? How are you? Hootie hoo. Happy what's today? Happy Tuesday too. I am the sound of money in your ear, dollar Avant, that's still double L. I'm up and imitated, never duplicated. They call me the $1 billion babe, aka the pitch queen, aka the people's coach, aka Coach Dollar Bill. And you are in the dollhouse. This is the home of high value entrepreneurs. And over here, it is day 13 of this 100-day challenge. I've actually really enjoyed doing this one because it separates, the people who doing something because sound good with the ones who are actually about to make some money out here, like for real. Um, and I have really been making an effort to give you very, very practical information about what you need to be doing every day in your business. We need to create some kind of a checklist, some kind of a standard, some kind of how everybody plays, ball, they play street ball or, you dribble the ball in the gym or stuff like that. But we get to a point in our lives, okay? We reach a point where you are no longer, uh, how you say, just able to just not be able to dribble the ball and pass and shoot, and you don't know how to run, and you run out of breath after 2 seconds and all this kind of stuff, and then still think you're going to be on the team. Like, we reach a point, I don't know if that's fifth grade, I don't know when that is. I've seen some third graders out here balling on Instagram, but we reach a point where we can no longer continue to play these games and act like it's cool when we don't have the fundamental skills that are required to be an entrepreneur. And I personally don't want to create a group of people who talk about entrepreneurship and who hang around entrepreneurship and, sound cool and sound like they're doing something, but not doing nothing for real. I'm not interested in that. I want to develop and nurture a group of people who are serious about this work and serious about this life, who are doing what it's going to take to get out of how do you say that, get out of just barely making it, thinking about it, talking about what we want to do and all this kind of stuff, and become an actual professional entrepreneur. I use that term a lot. What do I mean by professional? If you were a professional athlete, you know what that means? That means every time I give you the ball, I expect you to be able to go out here and make something happen. Every time. Okay. And that means that, I can plan based on that. I could actually, like, invest some money in a team and, like, invest in y'all to have jerseys and, like, I don't know, a tour bus. What do they travel on? Planes and buses? I could invest in the arena and all this kind of stuff because I can know with some certainty, okay, that when I put y'all out here on this court, we're going to get a certain outcome. You know what I mean? That's professional. Therefore, you get paid. Without that baseline, though, of what I can expect, it's a terrible idea for me to make an investment in you and what you got going on. It's a terrible idea. And so the same thing applies for you and your business. You want investors, corporate sponsors, partners, huge companies, all these people who have social capital, who have things to risk, who have, all of that in play. You want them to risk that capital to work with you, but you haven't developed the knowledge and the skills and the the baseline so that they can know what to expect. I think this is my first time really explaining this way. I think it's really important that we don't there's a scripture that says, don't think more highly of yourself than you ought to think. I would like for us to stop normalizing, expecting clients and money and investors and this and that to just fall out of the sky when we have not developed the basic fundamental skills that are required for entrepreneurship. I think that's wrong. I think it is presumptuous. Let's say it that way. That's a good word. It's presumptuous. And so we can do better as a people, as a unit. We can do better. And so that's what I want to do is create a space where we're normalizing doing better. Because it's not just for, and I realize that people, we have to learn how to value ourselves. We have to learn how to change our beliefs about what's possible for us. Let's say it that way. Because I think honestly, we start a business, but we don't really believe that we can make some money. I don't think people wake up in the morning and like believe I can go out here and do a set of activities on my own terms, my own structure, my own everything. And it's going to, get me to the point where I'm generating tens of thousands of dollars a month. Me by myself. I really don't think we actually believe that. And it took me a long time to realize that that's part of the problem. We don't believe that we can actually do this work. So I'm holding space for you because I believe that anybody with enough, the brilliance that you guys have clearly demonstrated, anybody who's out here doing the work, anybody who's out here putting yourself in a position to communicate with humans, you can start making money, like real money. That's what I want to hold space for you to do. So if you're with it, let's get into it. Day 13. Again, I'm opening the floor to questions. I am live streaming, but if you're, I don't know, if you're in the Zoom, I guess you have priority because I still don't know how to use this other thing right now. But are there any questions, any feedback? Like I said, I purposely went hard. I didn't know I was going to go that hard this morning in my episode. But in my famous words, we do not have time. So I want to be a resource for you guys. Go ahead if you have questions. Hey.
Not necessarily a question, but I was listening to your episodes this morning, and then I was like, oh, it was or earlier, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll finish it later. But you were going in.
Going in.
Okay, all right, we're getting a history lesson too, and all the things. So yes, it's motivating, and I'm with you. I'm doing the work. Yesterday was tough. My energy was high during, the morning, and I have my schedule set up just like you taught us. I don't remember what day it was, but my to-do list, I'm making it a part of my calendar. Yes. And that's helping a lot. And I do find myself rescheduling things because, some things take a little longer than others, and, blocking that time on your calendar has been helpful for that. But yeah, I was super drained last night. I had to get myself going again today. So I started up with a slower morning, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this for me, and then I'm going to get myself together, and I'm going to go to the office, and switch up my space a little bit, maybe thinking that, maybe a different environment. But yeah, you have been helping. It's nice to know that I have you to look forward to, listening to you, and your encouragement and your lessons has really been valuable for me for these past, I don't know how many days, but I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. You know what I figured out, like with the 100-day challenge and me showing up every day, people are like, really, every day? And I'm like, yes, every day. What I realized is this work that I'm doing, and thank you for sharing that again, because the other part that I don't like around like these entrepreneurship programs that I'm always talking about, only because, I've taught at them and I see what the spaces are supposed to be and what they promise and then what they actually deliver for people. And it's not this, right? So it's like a lot of times you go in those spaces and you feel like you have to be perfect, or you feel like you have to have it together, or somebody comes and they say, hey, what's going on? What you working on? You got to be like, oh yeah, I'm making it happen, like blah, blah, blah. Like we just always act like everything is working in our business when it's not. So how is that helpful? How's that helpful? If I can't be honest about, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm stuck and I'm confused, but I got to come in here and put on the face because, I'm in the place or whatever. I think that's actually to our detriment. And so I want a space where we could just, I don't feel like it right now. I don't believe myself right now. I'm not sure, You know what I mean? I don't feel like it. I ain't got it. Right. And so part of that is just being able to admit it. And then the other part of it is to have some structure, like when you quit your job or whatever, or we leave school, we graduate, that structure goes away. Somebody was talking about that yesterday on a call. You guys know Tish, shout out to Tish. And she was like, I realized like when I had, because her kids are now all in college, she was like, I realized when I had to pick up the kids and go to school, and I had from 9:30 to 2, do everything I had to do, I was on point. She said when the last kid left for college, my schedule fell apart because that external structure is not being imposed on you anymore. And I think we all go through that in different ways. And so being able to be a part of a community where I might not have it all today, but I'm just gonna listen in, or I might have got off track, but I hear somebody else say something that's gonna get me back on point, or I hear somebody talking about something. I'm not experiencing that, but later when I come to that in my business, I'm like, oh, I remember how they handled that or whatever. Like that's what I want for this community. So I appreciate y'all being here, but yeah, it's about that for me.
Yeah, I actually like Tahira. I went to her office hours earlier. I couldn't stay for the whole time, but it was a great conversation. I learned a lot that I didn't know because I don't know a lot about what to do with your cash flow, and I'm trying to figure that out as well. So she's going to help me. So that I want us to support each other, and that's also why I'm starting this entrepreneur. 1 to 2 focused people to help and get us together.
I love that.
I like that you were talking about the community earlier because I'm like, yes, I'm trying to figure out how to add some fun into it, but it's going to be mostly focused on highlighting these businesses.
Yeah. Because we need that. And why do we have to build that? Well, these people got multi-million-dollar budgets out here. They're not doing it, so we're going to do it. And I think it's brilliant that you're holding space like that. So kudos to you. And thank you again for being here. Anybody else got any comments and or questions and such before we jump in today? Because I just feel like I said, I feel like I talk a lot. A lot. And I want to make sure that I'm addressing concerns and things before we dive right in. All right. So if hearts and minds are where we need to be, then let's do this. Okay, so the things that I feel like we need, like I said, dribble, pass, and shoot. If you can't dribble, pass, and shoot, then why are you talking to me about getting drafted in the NBA? I don't understand. So the things that are fundamental, and you can kind of rate or audit yourself accordingly. Okay. So we just did a gut check, by the way. That was a gut check. That was me checking in. How are we feeling? What are we doing? Is this helpful? What's up? And so we just did that. So we have a collective thumbs up. All right. Now we're moving to the audit because this is just a game. Entrepreneurship is not a goal that we set for ourselves, right? It is a game that we must learn, develop these skills so we can learn to play and win. And G stands for gut check, A stands for audit, M stands for mimic the masters, and E stands for execute. So gut check, checking in. That's why I always ask you guys on Thursday nights, like, how do you feel? I care, but it's not even that. I need to know where are you at energetically? Where is the frequency? Okay. Because the way you do the work, okay, like the way that I showed up and did my my episode today, nothing different happens as far as like, oh, people are going about their day and they might not be on WhatsApp till later. And I have people, they tell me when I see them in the street, they like binge listen to the WhatsApp. And so they might be 2 weeks behind, and then they'll get in the car and one day, or they go home and then they'll just play 10 episodes back to back to back to back to back, and they be cracking up and they're repeating jokes back to me that I forgot that I said, which I love that. I love that. That's why I'm gonna put it on a podcast format or whatever. But nothing about how everybody's moving in the group and when and how they stumble across my content has changed. But my energy today was different. And my energetic signature is going to change who hears the episode. I can't explain that part to you. I'm just telling you that when you show up and you're just like, okay, I got to do this. Let me do it. Okay, blah, 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 get it done. That's good. That's better than not moving at all. You're breaking that inertia. Okay, so that's wonderful. I want you in motion. But there's a higher version of that where you actually have true momentum because you're showing up in the energy of the thing, right? It's like, okay, I did the drill. I did what they told me to do. I dribbled it. I made it all the way down the court. I made it back. Versus you start to get into a real flow with what you're doing. It's going to move differently. Go ahead.
So I started talking to myself this morning to pep myself up. Because I did feel like I was low in energy, and I'm like, nope, we can't do this. You know, let's switch it up. Let's listen. I started listening to the book and adding some reading in my morning routine. Reading because it's really him reading it to me, but I put that on to kind of get inspiration. And also just to get me moving, like you said. I was like, I know I can't be static. I can't just sit on the couch and, you know, watch Gen Z or Gen V, because I have been watching that actually.
That's my show. It's my show.
One episode a night or a day.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I have, you know, I'm trying to plan things to look forward to. And also I'm telling myself I'm excited. I get to go to work and, you know, do all these things. I get to talk to people. I get to help people. Yeah. And that's a good thing. And that's something that I want to keep doing. So, yeah, you're right. The energy, I have to sometimes remind myself, but I do feel like I'm waking up excited more than not. So
it's powerful. When you get to that part, it becomes that. And like I said, your phone just starts to ring differently, because when you start to feel like that more often than not, it means that you're on a different frequency. It's literally just like the thermostat. Like, how do I know my thermostat's working? Well, I walked in the house, it's cold outside. I walked in and it feels all cozy. It's working. Like, you know, so when I check in how we feel, like it actually matters how we feel. Okay. And then secondarily is audit. And I want to give you guys a checklist. That's what we're kind of building. It sounds like we're repeating some of the same things over, but no, I need you to hear the concept, have a bucket in your mind for it, understand what I'm talking about. Here's some examples of it. Go back and do it. Oh, it wasn't as easy as I thought. Let's revisit it again. Okay, now we're getting better. Now we actually can hold and embody the energy. We know what it is. And now we add it to our schedule. Come on, elephant diet. And now we start doing it every day. So what are some of those things that we need to be doing every day, every week? Like, for real. Like, we breathe, we take showers, we eat. And also, because we're entrepreneurs, these are some things. So we know, number one, everybody needs this 5-star pitch. I'm not actually playing about our pitch, because if you can't sit here and have a conversation with me about what it is you do and why it matters and who should care and, you know, how it's going to affect people, then that means you can't go on a podcast episode and talk casually, which means you're not going to be able to take your message one to many. If you can't do that, that means you can't go to a networking event, not with real people who have real opportunities, without sounding like a robot. And that means nothing's going to happen. So you can spend all your time trying to network and get with Shaq and them, and then when they invite you to the thing, you're going to blow it when you get there, because you can't, you know, your pitch doesn't flow, just casually flow like water, right? If you don't have a pitch that you know backwards and forwards, when you go and hire somebody, they're going to come in with some garbage marketing, and you won't be able to tell them, no, we don't talk about the work like that. We do it like this, and here's why. Because you know that, because you talked to enough, you know, you've done this enough to know that it's not embodying the energy. Like, if you don't do this part, it breaks the rest of your business going forward. So it's just like cooking a recipe. There's certain things like before you do anything, you need not this brand, you need this brand. If you start off wrong, everything else you do is going to be garbage. It's going to be garbage. Like, don't tell me you about to make me some mac and cheese. Okay. And first thing you do is go in the pasta aisle and get a box of Kraft. I'm leaving. I'm not coming over. I'm out. Like, there's nothing that you do that's going to be right after that. Same thing if you go to the cheese aisle and you get Kraft. I just want to let you know, nothing you do after that is going to be as good as what we do over here. So, you know what I mean? Like, your 5-star pitch is everything. And it actually, everything flows out of it, which is why I spend so much time. I'm not going to apologize for it. People who want, fun things to do, like, go to Six Flags. Like, I'm not here for your entertainment, although I am very entertaining. Like, I'm here so you actually for real make some money for real. Okay. So that's number one. We need a 5-star pitch. How comfortable do you feel? Rate yourself every day. Are you practicing it every day? Do you get in the mirror and do it? Do you just talk casually about it? Do you need me to give you some questions where you can pretend like you're being interviewed and casually talk about your work? Because you should be able to do that forwards and backwards. So I'll wake you up at 5 o'clock in the morning. You should be able to go into the value of what you do and why it matters and all the things. You should have stories. Like, you should be able to just flow. It's important. All right. Second thing that we all need, we got our CRM, we got our way to follow up with people, but who are we following up with, right? So that first list of 50 people, or maybe you're on your second list by now of 50 people that you're doing this outreach with, into like actual humans that you talk to in real life about this work that you want to do. Because that's your first feedback loop. That's going to give you enough real feedback to go back and tweak. And that's how we know that our 5-star pitch is, right? That's your taste test. You go down here, you're talking to humans. So in order to do that, you need your Afro method. So you should be really, really good. I know I gave you guys some questions even yesterday that you could use to just kind of make it really conversational and really, get inside people's head and let them feel comfortable talking to you and telling you all these things about how they feel and getting the problem and all of that. If you have your Afro method correct, you will have a repository, like an archive of problem language, like the way people talk about the problem that you solve. You should be able to say it just like they say it. If you can't do that, that means we need to talk to more people. So we're just auditing right now. Can you tell me how people talk about the problem that you solve? What language do they use? What problems are they struggling with every day? All of that. How strongly do you feel about that? You can rate yourself, okay? That's in your Afro method. You will have all that problem language and the solution, the way that you describe the solution, something that they emotionally connect with and respond back to you and like, yes, I need this. Okay. And they're trying to like pay you, or they're trying to like work with you, or they're trying to like take an action with you. You should know what that is. You should be professional at that. So we got a 5-star pitch, we got our Afro method, which gave us all of this information and language around the problem state and solution state. Now, if you have that, you also then can move on it's a video game. So the 7 C's of social capital, all financial capital is social capital. First, you had your concept, your idea, this is what I want to do. Okay, we came up with a 5-star pitch for that. Great. Having these initial, just like, I've just made this up. Like, this is what I think it should be, blah, blah, blah. Dad told me to make a 5-star pitch, so I did it. So that's your first stab at content. Okay. Then we go out and have conversations with real humans. 50, at least 100 is better. You need to be doing this every week until you have about 100 to 200 people on your direct, I can hit a button and reach them, and they would respond back to me because they know who I am list. Okay, those conversations. And once you do that, now every time you take a step further, you can go back and perfect your 5-star pitch. Go back and perfect that landing page that you made in a weekend. Go back and perfect, the one pager and the questions you ask and the way you do your webinar and all that. You go back and perfect it based on the language that you've gotten from all the people that you talked to. And now what I've been encouraging you guys to do the last couple of days is to do the fourth C, which is create a cadence of every day, every week, I'm showing up, I'm reaching out to people. And most of us run out of people pretty quickly, and that's okay. So if you've ever done, I hope you're not still doing them, but some people make money, but whatever. Like MLM, or like if you went to get like a regular sales job or something, like back in the day, I don't even know if they do this anymore. First thing they want to tell you is make a list, of all these friends and family, like all these people that you know or whatever. They'll tell you make a list and of people that you're gonna like call to like sell them this makeup that they didn't ask for, or whatever. When we make a list like that, we typically run out pretty fast, run out of people. And whether that's because, just your personal network and you don't feel, and I'm not asking you to spam people. I want you to make a list of people who you have some kind of warm or direct relationship with and who either have a great understanding of what you're selling or possibly a need for what you're selling, or, you can respect their perspective and they might be able to introduce you to some people who can talk more deeply with you about what you're selling. Right? So if that list runs out, how do we have enough people on our list to keep the conversations going? We create a cadence, which turns into our elephant diet. This is something where we have an appointment, just like we used to, I gotta be in class at 9:00. I gotta go to work. Now I need you to show up and do your outreach and show up on social media and show up and make this content and show up and do whatever your version of touching and connecting with humans is every single day, like a heartbeat in your business. Without that, without the giving and receiving, is like your breathing in your business. And then showing up consistently every day, like the clock. Bah, bah, bah. If you don't have those two elements in your business, where I'm talking, engaging with real humans and actually getting feedback and showing up consistently, clockwork, your business is not live. It's not alive. It's not a legal entity. It's supposed to take on a life of its own outside of you. If you don't have those two elements, it's just an idea. So this is the difference between somebody talking about it and going to programs and reading books about it and somebody who actually has a business. Okay. So, because if you cannot successfully find groups of people that you talk to, you put something out, they give something back, and it elevates and builds on itself and turns into something more. And they always want more. And they want to take a next step and a next step. And there's not a journey. There's no motion. Money follows motion. That means you don't have a business. That means you have not made it past step 2 of the roadmap, which is okay. Just you need to go back and pick another concept. You know what I'm saying? That means you do not have proximity to the type of people whose problem you're uniquely positioned to solve, who will also choose to allow you to be the one to solve that problem. Okay. But if you find that it's working and you find that you get good feedback, then what you want to do is turn that into a format. Zoom calls, office hours, discovery calls. I don't know. It depends on your business, which is why, we do this work. We have group coaching. You can get your individual coaching as well. That's why we start showing up in different ways on a consistent cadence so that our audience can find us. Because then it needs to turn into, like, I use the example of church all the time, just because everybody can relate to that in some way. Like, you might not go to church every Sunday, but you feel like you're a member, you're a part of the church, you're a part of the community. Okay. Because, and more importantly, that they're going to be there every Sunday, 11:05. The music, the organ is going to play. They're going to start the thing. The choir going to come out. They're going to do the thing. Whether you're out of town, whether you had to go see about your mama, it doesn't matter. They're there. Like a tree planted by the thing. You might not visit your grandmother's farm, all the time. But when you go twice a year, when you're there. How do you know? Because that oak tree It's right there, and then that's when you turn left, you go off the main road and go down, and da-da-da. Like, you're supposed to be there, like a lighthouse, so that the people looking for what you got can find you. And so the difference between people who make money and the ones who don't is the ones who don't show up don't make money. The ones who show up to the point where they become a known entity, now I can start to build narrative around what you do. And those are, when I'm saying these 7 C's of social capital, let me see if I can find one of these old slides for y'all. When I'm talking about these 7 C's, most people don't do it, and then they wonder why nothing's happening. It's a system. It's a system. So concept, content, conversations, cadence. Boom. When you get to cadence, something happens. Something different happens. Now it becomes the second half of the feedback loop. After cadence and you keep showing up consistently, the next thing you get is credibility. How do you get credibility? It's not what you say about you, it's what other people say about you. So they start experiencing this thing like clockwork, and they're like, yeah, this is that. So what you said you were, they start saying it too. They start reflecting it back to you. It's a game of concentration. They're like, yep, they really are this person. And now they're in another room. They hear somebody saying something about, whatever the topic is, and they're like, oh, I know somebody who actually does that. It's credibility. Third party validation of what it is that you do. This is when you get written up in blogs, and like I said, other people are sharing that narrative even when you're not there. Then you get to confidence. This is where, that's what a brand actually is. So when we talk about branding and doing logos and all this kind of stuff, it's supposed to represent this energy that you've built, this entity that now lives outside of you. And then you put a brand around it just to hold that. Every time I see that logo, I think of this thing, this feeling that I'm teaching y'all how to build. It's a feeling. Okay. And when they have confidence, that means you are so consistent in giving them that outcome, that transformation, that solution, showing up, providing value, going in or whatever it is that you do. You're so consistent that they are actually willing to lend you their social capital. That means I don't have a problem recommending you to a friend, or telling my boss that we need to work with you, or, taking my money, instead of spending it over here, I'm going to spend it over there. They have confidence that if they do that, they're going to get a great outcome because you've been so consistent. Once they have that confidence, that's that cocoon I'm talking about. Once they feel like they want to feel, then something, the metamorphosis happens, and all of a sudden they start to identify with you, your brand, what you got going on, and all of that. And they're like, oh yeah, that's my coach. Oh yeah, that's my she does all of our interior design. She's my realtor. She's the one that we call for this. Like, she's our expert in this and this and this. You know what I'm saying? They will stand on that thing. They will tell their mama. They will tell their boss. They will tell whoever these. No, oh no. We call her for this. No. We need to call. We need to check it. Like that. And you have a community. And the way you can test community is when you speak, people move. So when you send out an email, do you get crickets? Or do you get, like, people are checking in, they're engaged? You say, I'm going to be having a pop-up event, and 40 people show up. It's like, wear a purple t-shirt, meet me outside the park at 10 a.m. on Saturday. We're going to do a walk and pass out food for the community. And 40 people show up. That's community. When you speak, people move. Once you have community, you will never not make money. You could sell them shoelaces and they would buy it from you because it's gone past a mental assent of, okay, I know this person. Okay, they do, graphic design or whatever. It's gone past that to they've had an experience with you. Now it becomes a shared emotional experience with this community around you and your work. And they're like, yes, I'm intentionally choosing. I want to work with her. I'm intentionally choosing. I'm going to come to this event. I'm changing my schedule to be at this place where she's showing up, where he's showing up, where they're adding value. And that's ultimately the game of entrepreneurship is you want to, they talk about shifting consumer behavior. You have to actually make somebody stop doing what it is they were doing before they met you, and then come over here and start doing things this way. It's like you have to have your whole theory of change around, what that entails, if you will. And that's what I'm teaching you how to do. That's why I go so hard in the paint and the details. So we just audited. You need a 5-star pitch for that. You need your Afro method for that. You need your list of 50 people, and you need to keep going until you have a group of, let's say, 200. 1,000 is better, but it depends on what you sell. You don't need that many people, right? Just a group of people who, when you speak, they move. And then a cadence of where you're constantly bringing new people, new eyeballs, new energy into that space that you've created for people to hang out before, during, and after a purchase from you. So your 5-star pitch, your Afro method, your archive of language that you got based on those conversations using the Afro method, which now reinforms all of your new marketing materials. So updated marketing materials. Then your cadence for how you're gonna, your 50 people, and a cadence for continuing to do that outreach, which also needs to be digitized. So some version of social, some version of digitizing your brilliance. And then
you have a question.
We scale. Great. Go ahead.
Okay, so cadence is that posting every day, or is that actually, what is involved in that?
Yes. Practicing our 5-star pitch, talking to humans using the Afro method, some form of outreach every day. And social media, yes, some kind of way that I'm digitizing the same thing I'm doing one-to-one. You want to start doing one-to-many, because that's a new skill we want to develop. And yeah, these need to be happening pretty much every day, or certainly every week, inside of your business, like all the time, because you're getting better. Like I'm better at my pitch this week than I was last week, this month than I was last month, because I do it all the time, right?
I have noticed that my language is changing, because I go back and I'm like, oh, I changed this survey to a confidence check, so let me go back and change all the titles.
Now we change all the titles. Now we got to update the website. Exactly.
And then my social media, I'm like, okay, I'll do it gradually, because I've started with one name and then I switched it, and so
yep,
working on that.
And it's a process, but the fact that we're in motion, right, is the key. As long as you're in motion and you're showing up doing, so that's when the cadence kicks in, because it's not like, okay, I did it one time and now where's the money? It's like, no, I do this every day, every week. This is what I do. It's what I do. And that's what I'm saying. I know too many entrepreneurs who don't have a this is what I do. All right. They're just like waking up, going to events, going to conferences, going to other people's events, but they don't have a heartbeat or a cadence inside of their business that's going to turn them into, what they say they want to build for real. And so this has been an audit for us to change that. So practicing your pitch every day, every day. Like your kids, the people around you in the house should be able to tell your pitch. They should hear you saying it so much. Like for real. Like it just needs to flow out of you. Then going through your Afro method and like having those questions prepared, going back and say, okay, I talked to some people. I went on a trip last week and I was talking to some people, I asked this one question that really got people talking. So I need to add that, to my approach when I'm doing my 5-star pitch. You need to review that. Right? Then the problem language that you get, and the aspirational solution-oriented language that you get. Like how are people describing what it is that they do, or what it is that they want, or what it is that they struggle with? You should be an expert in that. So we're reviewing that every day, or certainly every week, those two things. And then making a list, you start that one time, maybe every week you try to come up with some more people, but ultimately I want you to have a cadence where every day you're doing a set of activities that's going to be individualized. That's your golden ratio. It's going to be individualized based on, you know, your business, your industry, what stage you're in, how you want to show up for your audience and all that kind of stuff. But you need to be able to um take, it's like you are the artificial intelligence. Okay, you know how you want to train your chat GPT, put all this information in there, and then now it's going to spit something out. You need to be, the more you show up, you're training this human interface, this brilliant technology that you have, you're training it how to see these patterns, and it's like, oh, this is what I should be doing. Then all these brilliant ideas are going to come to you. Now you're going to have new strategy. Now you're going to, you know, your phone's going to ring differently. Now all of a sudden somebody that's in your network that you didn't even think about, oh, I didn't call this person because they've been doing this for years, you know, like you'll become a better CEO, a better entrepreneur when you have a cadence. Okay, you make better decisions. Like, you know, you get your entrepreneurial IQ, just like they say NBA IQ or whatever, basketball IQ. You get better at this game. And it's like, oh, these levels are no problem. $5,000 a month. Of course I could, you know, I'm working on 10 right now. You know, I'm cracking 20 next quarter. That's what we work. You know what I mean? Like it becomes easier. And that's what I want for you guys. But it goes back to the fundamentals of what we're doing every single day. So yeah, so then we talking to people. I know people that are really great at going out and having these conversations, doing all of that, but then there's no follow-up. So we got our CRM in there now. Where every day, every week, we're checking, okay, who do I have on my list? Okay, where was my last conversation with them? Okay, it's been 2 weeks. It's time for me to reach out to her. Like every day. Do it again. Do it again. Every day. Every day. We're bringing new people in. We're perfecting this world that we're building for them. And we're tracking, you know, the journey. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I got kicked off. I thought I was kicked off the internet. Um, constantly bringing people into that world to where you'll turn around and you'll have 200 people in there. And you'll be like, whoa, what happened here? Nothing changed except you did. So does that make sense? If so,
yes.
Let us get to some parts of what I want to share for day 13. But I think that audit is really, really important because without that, it turns into, oh, new framework, ooh, new concept, ooh, new thing. And I don't want you guys to be just learning new information just to learn it. I want you to be applying it and actually having something different happening in your business as a result. So here we go. What does it require to keep this momentum going and to notice these patterns and to actually turn that into strategy, right? So we're having real conversations. We're actually making some sales. Maybe just casually this is happening. Maybe you're getting to the point where more often than not, you're making sales. That would be like saying more often than not, you're making shots, okay, in basketball because you're getting better. Like, you know how to fake out this defender and you do the thing, like your form is better, like all that. Like, you should be getting better at having a conversation and knowing the kinds of people to be talking to and getting, a higher percentage of yeses or ready to take the next step out of that. Okay. So when we started, we were nervous, things were new, all of that. But eventually, you get into a bit of a flow, right? You feel the energy, you know how to move and all of that. So when you get out of adrenaline phase of starting a business and you're excited and you're telling everybody and printing up business cards, I don't know if people still do that, child, but when I saw a $12,000 proposal today and I was just really upset. I'm like, do you have employees in China? Like, what am I missing here? Why are we doing this at this stage in the business? But anyway, some people need that. She does not. But anyway, um, after you get through the adrenaline phase, this is when you get into the part where we start facing our old programming. We face resistance. We face like, oh my God, what am I doing? We face like, I don't want to know. I don't want to do it. Da, da, da. Like, this is too uncomfortable. Like, all this, your brain starts screaming at you, like, turn back, like all of that. So we got to move, not just get into motion, but build momentum. Momentum, 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 momentum. So feeling tired, feeling like, I'll do it later. When you start a new pattern, let's say last week, right? And then you get tired or something happened over the weekend. And then so you wake up Monday and you don't feel motivated and you're like, oh, I'm not going to do it. Okay, I'm giving myself the day off. I'm giving myself the day off. You know how we do. So you go out and da-da-da-da-da. Then the next day comes and then it's Friday. Like, that's why it's so dangerous to lean into how you feel with your time versus adhering to a schedule with your time, because you're not going to feel like doing it more often than not. But if it no longer matters how you feel because you've structured your life to show up in this way, it gets different. So if once the novelty wears off, once you run out of your first 50 people on your list and you don't know who else to reach out to and all of that, your brain is going to start giving you all these excuses why you should take a break, go back into planning, play around with your logos more, and all this other kind of stuff. And this is resistance. This is static. This is like when I'm driving on a long road trip. I keep talking about V103 is a great example of whatever. What's the hot station in LA? I can't remember. I should know that. But anyway, and you're driving out of town because you told me you wanted to move to a whole nother destination, the state of abundance. You never lived there before, but we're going. Packed up the car and I'm out. You told everybody you had a going away party, bon voyage. Okay, and here we go. And you driving and you jamming, you listen to the music. Da, 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 da. When you get far enough away from the city, guess what's going to happen? Static. The radio is going to not be working quite so well. And you're like, wait, that's my jam. Hold on. I was like, wait. Because you're moving. You're not who you were before. You're moving. You're not a caterpillar anymore. You're about to get in the cocoon. You're up here now. You're not down there anymore. And so you have to build structure around yourself, your time, your habits, the inputs in your business. It's like your computer. You can't just, eureka, I discovered this thing. You got to cover, your computer is covered. The thing that actually makes it work is inside. The covering, the casing. You got to have structure around it so that you get a consistent result every time. Otherwise, it's going to work one day and not work the next. That's a good example. And what most people do when they don't build that structure, they just go back into planning and preparing mode and just, doing all of that. And your momentum dies, your confidence goes down, you start doubting yourself, And some people make it 3 years, some people make it 5, some people make it 6 months, but eventually they quit. And that is why 90+% of businesses fail. Your momentum dies, your confidence dies, you start doubting the idea that you had. Now you start doubting. Now you got doubt means you got 2 thoughts instead of 1. Instead of I'm doing this, now you're like, I don't know, or maybe I'm not cut out for it. Maybe those first 2 sales I made 6 months ago was just luck, and I don't know, child, like that. It's just a dip. This happens for everybody. This is what I call the Bermuda Triangle in the first part of the roadmap. I don't know how else to say it. It's literally like the Bermuda Triangle, because most people go into this phase and they never come out. And it's like, what happened? I don't know what happened. I don't know. And then you see it 5 years later, it's like, yeah, child, I shut that business down. Like, wait, what happened? Last time I saw you, you were doing it. Yeah, I know. Like, okay. So we got to learn how to make it through from after it's not exciting, it's not new anymore. When it turns into work, you got to learn how to get through that. Okay. So first, the neuroscience. We're not just waiting till we're better at this. We're not paying somebody $700, $2,200, $15,000 to come in and do this part because we don't want to learn it. Yeah, that's like hiring somebody to come and dribble the basketball for you. We sound crazy. You sound crazy. You might need a coach. You might need a trainer. You might need somebody to help you lift. You might need, football, they have defensive coordinators. You need somebody to help you with this particular aspect. I'm not saying we don't need help, but I am saying your fundamental skills of how you go out here and get a customer, you cannot outsource this. I mean, you can. I mean, if you got unlimited budget, okay, fine. But most of us are not in that position. So we don't want to just, only do the things that we're good at and then stop if we don't have the money, or worse, spend money we don't have and shouldn't be spending trying to outsource it, because you're going to spend that money. They're going to give you some really cool things that look amazing, and then your business is still not going anywhere. And that's a bad feeling, because now what are you going to do? So we got to get comfortable in the discomfort, and we got to commit to having structure around this greatness. Okay. Don't get into the false habit of working on the other parts of your business first. Remember the 80-20 rule. We're still auditing today. 80% of your time should be figuring out how to get your message in front of humans. 20% should be, all the little stuff that you can tweak and do all of that. Okay. Because it's going to make you feel productive. It's make you feel busy, but it's not going to drive your business forward. That would be like spending all your time like on your nails and like your eyelashes or whatever, but you don't ever eat any food. It's not going to sustain your physicality and your ability to exist on the planet. Okay, we want businesses that are sustainable. The other thing your brain is going to do is start tinkering with the offer. And maybe you do need to do that, but it shouldn't be based on, oh, I just saw this thing on YouTube. Oh, I need to try this. Oh, so I read this book. Oh, I saw this article. Oh, they said this in this conference. Like, it should not just be this constant random thing that's swerving you off the road. It should be based on some feedback that you got from a human that's in alignment with what it is that you're building. If you keep doing that and you recognize patterns, now you can make adjustments accordingly. But if one random person says no, maybe it wasn't a great time for them. Maybe they're not the right profile. Maybe you're in the wrong place. Maybe they're jerks. As long as you know your pitch passes the jerk test, you keep going. You don't spiral out just because one thing happens. That's why we stay detached, okay? So we need enough data. That's why we do 20, 30, 50 conversations and then do it again. So you have real patterns and know what's a real signal from the marketplace versus what's random noise. It's really important to build that level of, dare I say, certainty, sharpening your intuition and your gut as the CEO of your business. It's important to develop that now, because I'm just here to let you know When you got hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars or hundreds of clients, and you know, you got to run and go here and be on stage and do all of this, things get very different. So if we really want to build a business that, you know, can sustain us and our families, and really lay a foundation for generational wealth, or we could buy some assets or whatever, it's important to start identifying real patterns instead of random noise. In physics, they call it momentum is the formula for momentum is mass times velocity, excuse me. So when an object is in motion, right, it's going to stay in motion until it's acted upon by some outside force. So when you have these conversations every day, like your body of work that you're building, the way that you show up and talk, that's like making your business real. You have that. Okay. Now you go have conversations. Go out, go out, go out, go out. You build momentum. Every conversation makes the next one easier. You get into a rhythm. You know, they say that in sports, you get into your flow. You know, you get the hot hand, whatever. The pitch gets smoother. Like confidence grows, your energy builds. You can't stop early on. You got to keep the momentum going. It's like when the car's like, it's got to go all the way through till it can start running on its own. So that's why the daily action, the first 30 days, do not let up. Do not be like, oh, I'm taking a break, because that break turns into 5 days later, 10 days later. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need that momentum. If you get stuck in the dip, you have by the second week, here we are, day 13. If you get stuck, or you get distracted, or life gets to lifing, because people be telling me that all the time. I'm just like, well, it's not going to stop lifing. The question is, are you going to build a business in spite of it? Like, what are we talking about? Life be life, and is not a valid reason to not be doing what you're supposed to be doing every day. But you have 0 conversations today, turns into this week, turns into 2 weeks. You might go to a conference or an event, a meatballs and alcohol event. So you had 2 conversations there while you were there, because that was somebody else's agenda or calendar. And then you go right back to not doing anything. So about in the 30 days, like, you're dead in the water. You're dead in the water. You're dead in the water. And this is the most dangerous time to be dead in the water. So not, taking a day off, you should think about what that's costing you. It's opportunity cost. It's the people that you didn't reach. It's conversation you didn't spark. It's the 7-Eleven 4 that you didn't check a box in somebody's mind that's been watching you on LinkedIn. It's been watching you on social. We're in the age of the observer. They didn't say nothing. You thinking, oh, ain't nobody paying attention. I'm just not going to show up today. They're showing up. They're paying attention. Okay. So there's this famous study. Have you ever run a marathon? I used to say I was going to train for a marathon. That's not my ministry. Yes, we definitely should go to other people's events in this energy. Okay, so we're doing the work. We're showing up. We do our daily audit. We know what we're going to say. We got a 5-star pitch that rocks. We know how to do the Afro method. We're amazing. We walk in the room in the right energy. We're not a wallflower. We're not standing there like, with our back up against the wall. You know what I'm saying? You grab a little finger food and you're just kind of standing there, and then you see somebody, it's like, hi, we're not doing that. You walk in the room, we're taking over the room. Somebody said this, because I'm not shy, so I don't know, but I heard this was a pretty good piece of advice, especially for girls. Guys can get away because, they're tall or whatever. But like, you walk in the room, wear something that's going to make somebody comment. So whether it's a bright color or interesting, blouse, or maybe you have something going on with your hair, because they're going to go out of their way to make a comment that breaks the ice. Right? Oh my God, I like your dress. I like your shoes. Da, da, da. Thank you very much. And then, how you doing? What you do? What do you do? I'm dog. What's your name? What's going on? And then they talk, and you're like, oh, okay. What do you do? You get them to talk. They're humans. So they're going to then say, well, what do you do? And then guess what? You have the opportunity to do the thing. You do the thing, and then about 30, 45 seconds. And then they're going to either ask you, wow, what made you get into that work? Or they're going to say, wow, how do you do that? It's the 5-star pitch. It's conversation. So you do that in the room, and then they're standing there talking to somebody. So now you got 2 people right there, and it's like, yeah, da, 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 and then you work the room. So we love these meatballs and alcohol events when we show up in the right energy. They work for us. Okay, you could build your whole network, do your whole thing by going to other people's events, but you're doing it with intention and on purpose, not like that's the only time that you get anything actually going in your business. That's the way to think about that. So there was a study about people who run marathons, and um, they said that the hardest miles in running a marathon, again, I don't know if anybody's ever done that. I've been to the New York Marathon. I cheered on a friend, and that was cool when they ran by or whatever. But I don't do that. But they say the hardest miles are in the middle, like miles 18 to 22 or so. And they say that's where most people kind of quit and just like, oh my God. Because why? The excitement of the start is gone. The energy, the reserve, any reserves that you had is kind of burned out, but you still can't see the finish line yet. You just, come on, Michael Jackson, stuck in the middle. You feel like you're just running, you're just doing the thing. You get tired, it gets uncomfortable, and your brain is going to be screaming at you to stop. So the people who finish marathons, they found, are not the people with the most talent or whatever, like they're just a natural born runner or whatever. They're the ones who have a strategy for those middle, it's not really the middle, it's a little after the middle, miles 18 to 22. Because what is marathon? 26 whatever miles. So the ones who have a strategy for 18 to 22, they know that dip is coming. They know that day is coming where they just don't feel it. Today, I am not. That was yesterday for me, honestly. To be honest with you, I woke up yesterday and I was like, I'm not feeling none of this. I forget what had me in a bad mood, but I literally woke, which is rare for me. I woke up in a bad mood, and so I told y'all we can have a list of procrastivity, the things that you can do that are not really on topic of what you're supposed to be doing, but they are productive and they can get you back in the energy to have, maybe there's certain people that you can talk to that will help you feel like you need to feel, certain habits that you can kind of build into your life to get you right. But by the end of yesterday, I was on point, to the point where today I'm on fire. Y'all heard it. I'm on fire. But yesterday I was like, you know what? we could shut all this down. Like we don't even have to do none of this no more, But knowing that dip sometimes comes, I have mantras, rituals, whatever you want to call it, mental tricks, things in your schedule, certain things that are inspirational for me. There's two books that I read or reread that get me back together. For me, paying attention to what's going on out here actually motivates me. Because I'm very passionate about, like, I don't want to see my people get caught up. I just don't want to see that. So if you expect that those dips are going to come and know that they're normal, just have a strategy for how you're going to get through it. So like you said, something you listen to that got you back in the mindset, something that you can read or do to get you back together. But especially in the early stages of your business, when you don't have somebody to hand this work off to yet, try not to just give yourself the day off. Like find a way to kind of push through in a manner that is semi-productive. So like if I have a task that I know I'm supposed to do, but I really don't feel like I could do it, instead of me just not doing it and going away, I will go and research something about that task. All right. So it's like, I don't know how to give you a good example, but I'm actually working on my second book because the first one is done. And there's a bunch of research that I've been doing, and I'm trying to aggregate it. And like, I don't have time to sit here and read 200 pages worth of research that I found, all these old PDFs and stuff. And so I was trying to do it with my chat GPT, like, can you summarize this? And it was like breaking. Like it wouldn't do it. And I got really frustrated. So I was like, okay, I can either sit here and try to old school, like print out and read all this. I'm not doing that. So what I did instead was I watched a 15-minute video on how to use Notebook LM so that I could take all of these PDFs and put it in there and train Notebook LM. Can you read this and pull the stuff out that I need you to pull out? Give me the summary, please, so I can get past this part of my outline. And that made me productive as opposed to and just leave and let's just go to the mall today. And then it's 6 o'clock. You come back home and it's like, well, time for dinner. And then, and then the whole day is gone. So now instead of that, I learned a new skill. And tomorrow, same time, same station, when it's time for me to work on my book, I could just bloop, 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 and it'll be done. So there was forward progress in that, even though I hit a wall, if that makes sense. Now there's a gift in repetition. I think we'll still be done by 3:30 today. 90 minutes. That's good. There's a gift in repetition. Well, a lot of people don't realize when they're doing sales, they don't realize that the first 10 conversations, really the first 30 to 50, I mean, seriously, is data collection. You're not trying to sell anything. You're just gathering intelligence. So you should be able to tell me, if you've talked to audit, we're auditing your 50 conversations. What objections come up most frequently? Let's write this down. I had these written down so y'all can write them. I'm gonna put it in the chat. 26.2 miles. Wow, Alfreda, I'm really impressed. I think all of your upcoming Oglethorpe events are great idea, Micaiah. Perfect, because we just want to be. Once we get great at this, then it's like listen, it's like if you want to be a recording artist, don't, because Hollywood's dead. But let's say you did. Once you get great and like you know how to sing basically on demand at any time, like flatfoot sing the way we were raised to sing, not these studio singers, God bless them, in the ministry. Then you want to be everywhere. You want anybody and everybody to hear you sing. And so this kind of work is the same way. Once you really have confidence, you know your worldview, you know your concept, you know how to pitch it, you know how to talk about it, you know why you know why people need it, you know what's different from, you've prepared appropriately. If you were a basketball player, you want to somebody playing the pickup games, like, oh, right here, like, let's play, let's do it. Like, so going to an event, going to an alumni association meeting, going to anywhere is an opportunity for you to. We're just filling up the pipeline now. We just want more humans out in the world to know what we do, because some of them are just going to carry that with them, and you might not even be able to trace how it ends up coming back to benefit you. But some of them are going to be like, ooh, I need that. And some of them are going to be like, you need to talk to my professor, you need to talk to my godbrother or whatever. And you're just building that network, because we want to hurry up and get to 200 people in our community. When we hit a button, we know they heard our message. Let's say it that way. And we know that they're engaged. That would be the next milestone. So everywhere we can go and be is awesome once we're good at this. But before we're good at this, yeah, meatballs and alcohol can be problematic. Because people tend to use that as an excuse to feel busy, but that's all they're actually doing in their business. So you should be able to answer these questions. What objections come up most frequently? Why don't people buy or move forward when you talk to them? What part of your pitch resonates the most? What is the language? Remember, we need an archive of the actual specific language that people use to describe their problem. And does your marketing reflect that? Are you saying the same words that they're saying to you? What's the most common reason that makes people say yes? Like, is it like, think of a good example. Let's say I was selling a course on how to pitch. The biggest time for me when I would get people to sign up would be right before they have a big pitch competition or a big sales meeting coming up. They'd be like, oh my God, can you get me together? I need to. Yeah, well, I mean, it's $50 per hour. It's probably going to take us about 3 hours of work. Okay, yeah. Okay. What do I need to do? Blah, 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 blah. Because they have something coming up. That's an example. What's the most common reason people say no? So let me attempt. Let me attempt to go through these now. I don't know if I can, because I'm not doing this for the dollhouse, but let me try it. See what happens. Why What objections come up most frequently? I don't get objections because I only talk to people who are right here poised to do what I need them to do, or to do. They know what I'm saying is what they need to do. So typically what they'll do is they'll jump in the WhatsApp and then they'll disappear. They don't take another step. But I don't get objections. Like 90+% of anybody I talk to, they're either going to say, oh my God, I need that, or they're going to be low key jerks because they think they're doing that in their entrepreneurship group that they're already in. But I don't get objections because I don't even talk to people who don't fit this profile. Okay. Because I'm that good at knowing who this is for. What part of my pitch resonates the most? Entrepreneurship is not a goal that we set for ourselves. It is a game that we have to learn, develop these skills, learn to win. And so that means that, there's a recipe, there's steps we got to follow, and most people skip steps. So then they want to know, well, wait a minute, what are the steps? So boom, well, you want the steps, come on over here. They're it. Okay. What language do people use to describe their problem? Y'all hear me say these things all the time. So y'all know that. The most common reason people say is, like I said, they think they got a pitch coming up. They think they're finna go get some investment dollars. Usually they're trying to skip steps and they think they're over there when they're not. But if they have something immediate coming up, they're like, okay, I need to fix this. Or they just quit their job, or they're 6 months from running out of savings or something like that. People say no. People say no to kind of upgrading or moving forward. Not because they say no to me, but they don't take action. I know it's because they believe that they need something that they don't need. They believe that they need to spend $13,000 for somebody to do some branding. I'm looking at the proposal. They're going to go on Canva and do your branding because that's what this is here. But they just believe that they need somebody outside of them to do the thing. So instead of them working with me to develop the skill themselves, they will go and spend that budget somewhere else. They do that. They do that. What questions do they ask before buying? How does it work? That's it. They're like, well, what kind of value? You give me all this value. Like, how does this work? I'm like, well, you call me when you need me and I'm here. And now it's more structured. It wasn't before. It's more structured now where you come to the WhatsApp, you get in the energy, you do the thing. Okay, great. You want more? I'm doing workshops, master classes. I got a whole schedule. Some of it is free, and some of it is for our monthly paid members. You do that over here in the Dollhouse 2.0. And then you want to work with me one-on-one. I don't even know if that's available anymore, but we'll talk about it. Like apply kind of thing. And that's it. And they're like, oh, that's all? Yeah, that's it. And they jump in. So that's pattern recognition. You should be able to answer that. And that will increase your close rate 20, 30, 40, 50, 60% close rate. You should be doing well. You should be able to say, if I talk to 100 people that fit this kind of profile, like I said, I don't get no's. If I'm at an entrepreneurship thing and I speak on the stage, everybody in there, when I say, okay, you can get in the community, I do this all the time, they're all going to pick up the phone and hit the button and then scan my QR code. They just are. Okay. And then from there, it's like, I should be able to track all the way through my process, if you will. I don't have a process for the Dollhouse, but your business should be able to be run by the numbers. But you can only recognize these patterns if you have enough data points. So 5 conversations and then 2 weeks off is not enough, right? 5 every week gets you closer to starting to feel like enough, which means you probably reached out to 10 or 15 people to get those 5 conversations on the books to then start to see those outcomes, okay? So I need us to double it. If you talk to 50 people already, let's go for 100. You're tracking, again, their language, exact words they use to describe their problems, not the words you think they use, not the technical language about what they use, not the professional corporate version of how they describe what they, no, the actual language that they use, the actual words, okay? So like, people are not really struggling with time management. They don't wake up saying, well, maybe they do in my case. But more often they're like, I just feel overwhelmed. I feel exhausted. I just don't know what to do. Like, I just feel burned out. Like, I feel like I'm drowning. Like, da da da. So there's a big difference between me saying, how you probably read a business book or article or something, and they talk about feast or famine. But nobody talks like that in real life. I mean, they just don't. They just say, I feel like I'm running all over the place. I don't know where my next client's coming from. Da, da, da. Like, it matters. Different language is going to give you a different emotional resonance. That's your energetic signature. Go back to your CRM. You should see the same phrases coming up over and over again. And now that needs to be in your pitch. That needs to be on your landing page. And then all of your marketing. So we're not changing the message, but we're making sure we're speaking their language at every touch point. Do you know what language your people are using? This is an audit today. This is watching the game film today. Do you know what objections people are saying? Because most objections are not unique. They're usually 2 to 3 core objections that come up about 80% of the time. Either it's too expensive, meaning they don't really see the value, or they don't believe that they're worth investing in themselves. One of the two. I do have a lot of people, they will invest in something that makes them feel, like if they were getting a logo or a certificate out of it, they would pay for that because they're trying to believe that they're worthy, and they think that they need that external validation. But when I say, no, you too can do, and they don't believe it. So they only go as far as their beliefs is what it is. So when they say, oh, I don't really have time or whatever, a lot of times they're just afraid to prioritize themselves, or they're scared that it won't work, even if they do invest that time. Sometimes they might say, oh, I think I need to think about it. But really, they might just be afraid to commit or not trust themselves enough to make this decision. But after you've had these conversations, again, you should be able to tell me your top objections and what people are really going through. Because if you have that, then you can come up with a strategy. Now it makes sense to have, these clients, or not clients, these advisors, right? These mentors, these people that you reach out to. Now you can go to them with something real instead of like, oh, I'm just not making any money in my business. Okay. Thank you for that information. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. Versus, I keep coming up against this same objection. Give me something specific. Now we got something we can work with strategy around. Have you thought about this? Have you tried this? What if you try saying it this way instead of that way? Like, you need those patterns to even know what to fix in your business and what works and what doesn't. And again, if you have a team working with you, if you're trying to hire somebody to work for you, you got partners that are leaning in with you, this level of precision, perpetual prosperity, requires precision. Who's in charge of the t-shirt ministry? I think it's Micaiah. The perpetual prosperity requires precision. So the more you know about every little nuance of what makes what you do work, just like if you were an artist or writing a song, and the placement of the note, and the way you said it, and the way you had your mouth, the vowel, placement, and all of these things, the breath, this, that, determines how it's being perceived and received by your audience. It matters. All this stuff matters. Okay. So if you have, let's say, 10 conversations, and 7 out of the 10 conversations, they say, oh, I don't know if I'm going to have time to implement this. It sounds really good. You can add this to your pitch. I know what you might be thinking. It sounds great, but I don't really have time. And then you could say, well, here's the thing. I designed it for people who are already maxed out. So we're only going to take 30 minutes a week. Da, 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 da. If you don't have 30 minutes a week, I can't help you. But if you can find 30 minutes, this is what happens, right? Or that's a pretty good example. But, you can address objections before they become objections. Like, put it inside your pitch already. The third thing you should be able to tell me pretty accurately is how people make decisions. Okay. Do they decide right away, like, oh my God, I've been looking for you, I need this? Do they need to talk to somebody else first, the spouse, the business partner, or whoever? Do they need some more money? They don't have the money, but they're going to find the money. Do they need time to just think about it? Do they need to see more proof, testimonials, case studies after that? All of that. Once you do that enough, you'll know. So if they're always like, oh, I got to talk to my business partner or my spouse or whatever, you can have that plan. You should tell them before the call, hey, make sure that you bring your spouse or your business partner to this call. Let's do it, right? Make that a part of your process so you're not wasting time. Or if they're like, oh, well, I know I need that, but, do you have a payment plan? Go ahead and have your payment plan together for those who ask you for that or whatever, right? So we're refining what works, what doesn't work, what questions tripped you up, what parts of your pitch still feel weird when you say them out loud, and make those small adjustments. What patterns are you seeing? What language keeps coming up? What objections keep coming up? What's your close rate? I would love it if we get on Thursdays and I could say, I need y'all to introduce yourself this way. Hello, give me your elevator pitch, 30, 45 seconds. This is what I do. I help this kind of person to do this kind of thing. So they go from this to that. Instead of this, they have this. Boom. And this week, I've had this many sales conversations, this many posts, this many engagements, this many people came into my community, and this is my close rate. How many yeses divided by total conversations? But I don't bother to invite you guys to introduce yourselves that way because I know that nobody knows the answer to these questions. Nobody is tracking these numbers. Nobody is out here doing, I'm not going to say nobody, but very few people are in this group. And this is what I want us to get to. So I'm willing to do the work to go deep with you guys, to get past the mental barriers that keep us stuck. Because once we start moving this way, you'll have numbers and you'll be happy to report your numbers. Your pattern should be clear. My number one objection that I'm getting, the thing that I'm working on in my business this week is this, this, and this. Like, I want y'all to sound like CEOs when you talk and introduce yourself. We're not there yet, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Your pitch right now should be significantly better than it was, the first day I heard you give your pitch. The way that you handle objections right now should be a lot smoother than it was, the first time you did it. And, your close rate should be improving. You got conversations, you see patterns, at least refinement, more conversations, better patterns, more refinement. It's an upward spiral, right? So we refine, we don't rebuild, we don't tear down, we don't start over. We refine based on real data. Continuous improvement, small incremental changes. It's compounding, okay? Social capital compounds just the way financial capital does. So over time, it leads to this massive transformation, but it's only by getting better, 1% better every day than you were the day before. I don't need you to be perfect. I don't need you to show up. I don't need you to do something crazy that you never have done before. I just need you to be 1% better than you were the day before, the day before, the day before. If you do these things, it becomes exponential. It becomes exponential. And this is also how we get to this detachment that I keep talking about. Because after the first, when you have one conversation, you're like, oh my God, oh my God, I did it. Like, whoa, like everything is da da da. And you're kind of emotional, da da da. After you do 10, 50, some of y'all get to 100 conversations, the individual conversation doesn't matter as much. Now you get to this sacred space of detachment that I keep talking about. This is one of these 7 habits of high value entrepreneurs. The more you do it, the less attached you become. The less attached you become, the more effective you are. The more effective you are, the more sales you're going to make. Come on. I don't know what you want me to tell you. The cadence is the secret. The cadence is the secret sauce. I need y'all to do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. And so it's like, how do I do that? I'm running out of people. That's why you need to get on social media and be intentional about showing up in rooms so that you constantly have a new flow of people who are hearing your messages, hearing your thought leadership, and coming into this world that you're building for them. It's very important. Super duper important. Okay. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns? We're getting our energy together every morning. We're practicing our 5-star pitch every day. We're doing daily outreach every day. We are scheduling time for some of these sales conversations in real life conversations every day. We are updating our CRM after these conversations every day. And if we make a sale, we're filling out the thing after the sale every day. And also figuring out how to show up on social media every day. Every day. You don't have to post every day, but I'm saying you should be working on this every day. Every day. So when you pull up your CRM, you can review your notes. You're looking for patterns. If you see something that comes up 3 or more times, language that they use, objections that they had, your pitch, certain things keep resonating consistently. You'll remember because the emotion will be there. Something that tripped you up, it was hard for you to say, or that you had to repeat yourself, they didn't understand it. Go change it. Make a refinement. Practice it every day. Y'all gonna be all right. I know it. 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 So when you have something that you're resisting, oh, I gotta go. It's 3:30. You have something that you're resisting, just name it. You can use your journal for this. What excuses is my brain giving me today? Like, I didn't have no conversation yesterday. I didn't call nobody, didn't reach out to nobody, I didn't get on social, I didn't do the thing. What excuses is your brain giving you? Oh, but I need to make sure my landing page is just perfect before I do that. Oh, I'm tired. I had a really hard weekend and I don't want to. I got to work on my pitch a little bit more. I'm not sure. All of that. Maybe I should just wait till, by the time we get to Wednesday, we already saying we're going to wait till Monday to reset. Let me just wait till the weekend is over. I don't feel ready. When I get to the point where then I'm going to do. Write it down. Look, you can write it out. You can say it out loud. And then, because I want you to recognize these are lies, they're all lies, okay? It's your brain trying to protect you from you're leaving your comfort zone. This is the static, okay? We're driving, we're leaving. So don't turn around, come back, be like, yeah, and stop. Don't let these things stop you. Okay, we're here to build momentum, not perfection. The conversation number 20 is going to be easier than conversation number 1. Every conversation makes me better. I want to be 1% better today than I was yesterday. I'm somebody who shows up. I'm a founder. I'm establishing systems. I'm out here in these streets. I'm doing the thing because if I do it again, it's going to take on a life of its own. And then I could go to the island somewhere. Like, you've got to get yourself in the mindset of the version of yourself that's winning right now. Okay, so today is day 13. Make a commitment to yourself. What are you going to do every day? I'm having, push yourself. 5 more conversations than you thought you could have this week. Let's do it. It's only Tuesday. Okay, like, make a commitment. Push yourself. Block some time. What is it that you're avoiding? You know what I'm avoiding right now? I don't want to sit here after I've talked for 4 hours. Then I got to pull all the videos down and go edit it. But it's not that deep because I have an AI tool for that. So I just need to, like, I have it in my calendar now, sit down at set time and hit the AI thing and let it pull down my clips and boop, 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 schedule it. Like, I need to automate
what I'm doing right now.
Yes.
I'm finding a system for my social media because I've been doing it manually, and man, does it take time.
Yes, and it makes you want to avoid it.
Different platforms.
Yeah,
and it's a lot.
It makes you want to avoid it. So it's like, nope, I'm not giving myself an out. Let me put it onto a system.
One time to this and let it do the thing.
You know what I'm saying? Get yourself in the energy, detach from the outcome. Like, create it, make it. Yeah, y'all got this. I know y'all do. So any other thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, feedback, challenges, reflections? I have my water right here. This is brought to you by Moonjug. I sit here like for hours and hours and talk. So then I just drink. I have to drink my water. And it helps me. It gives me energy. Helps me stay going. So the things that you need, you got to get up, take a walk, take a 15-minute break, walk around outside, whatever you got to do, so that you can come back to each task like fully present. But y'all can do this, and this can become your new habit. By the time you get really good at it, you'll be at the point where you're able to hand it off either to a system and automate it, or you will have finished, because most of these projects are finite, like perfect your website or something. This is a finite task. It has an endpoint, if you will. And then everything else, you should be in the flow of this is how you provide service to people. And eventually your systems are going to bring the people and you just provide the service. Like you can make it, you can get there.
That's funny that you said that, because yesterday I just like fell out on the couch being funny, but I was like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And I said to myself, I was like, how long will you have to do this for? It'll be done. Your website, like all this stuff, it'll be done, and then you'll have less of this admin stuff to do so that you can focus on what you really want.
What you really like. That's it. Most of this stuff is finite. I'm telling you, it's finite. So anybody else, comments, concerns, things you want to share, reflections? I'm having a great time actually doing this now that we're in the groove. So if all hearts and minds are clear.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you, Dow, for your time and consistency. And I was on earlier. You got me pumped up. That was my motivator. I was like, "Ooh, I need to get it together," because all the things are happening. So I just want to say thank you so very much. What you give, you're invaluable, and I just want to let you know that I appreciate you.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for sharing. It does keep me going. My family is a great motivator as well, but when y'all show up and you say something just like that, it motivates me, because I'm here for the babies. I'm here for the babies and the grandbabies and the ones who are gonna be like, why didn't anybody do anything? And they're stuck in some alternate reality dystopia because we were still acting like it's 1985, keep hope alive. Like, we can do so much better. Like, our ancestors did not die so that we could get caught back up out here. No, we could do this, y'all. So thank you for being here. Thank you for saying that, Latrice. Anybody else? Okay, if all hearts and minds are clear, y'all, we're gonna do this again tomorrow. Until then, I gotta go. We out. Pew!